October the 16th was the feast of St. Margaret Mary Alacoque, the mystic nun who brought us the feast of the Sacred Heart. It was also the feast of St. Longinus, the centurion whose spear was thrust through the side of our blessed Lord after he died, piercing his Sacred Heart. And it also happens to be the day the Vatican published a video celebrating 5 openly Marxist organizations for the 4th Annual World Meeting of Popular Movements. Coming up in this special report from the Lepanto Institute. Just a few weeks ago, the Lepanto Institute produced a report showing the direct connections that the Vatican has with an international communist organization called the World Social Forum. In that report, we provided indisputable evidence that Caritas Internationalis, the Vatican's umbrella agency for about 160 Catholic aid and development organizations throughout the world, is a leading member of the International Council, the governing body of the World Social Forum itself. We also proved that the World Social Forum provides a venue for blatantly communist activity, promotes abortion, and is a major advocate for LGBT activism. The thing is, the World Social Forum is blatantly and thoroughly communist, and it was created by local and international communist organizations in 2001. One of the communist organizations that helped launch the World Social Forum is called Movimento dos Trabalhadores Rurais sem Terra, or MST, which means Landless Rural Workers Movement. And it just so happens that MST was featured in the Vatican's recent video for the 4th Annual World Meeting of Popular Movements. Published on the Vatican News YouTube channel, the Vatican's video spends 46 minutes featuring several organizations and their causes before providing Pope Francis's nearly 40-minute speech applauding their efforts. The problem is that several of these organizations are openly professed Marxists. Beginning at 14 minutes and 30 seconds, the Vatican's video provides a speaking platform for a woman representing MST named Ceres Hadich. We went to Ceres Hadich's Facebook page and quickly discovered her identity as a communist. On February 20th of this year, Hadich posted this: International Red Book Day. The Communist Manifesto was written in 1848 and released on February 21 of that same year. Therefore, on this day, All Red Book Day is celebrated worldwide. MST invites all militancy to read excerpts from the Communist Manifesto. Marx and Engels record and post on social media. Clicking the video, you can see Hadich and her family, including a young son, read excerpts from the Communist Manifesto while the communist hymn called the Internationale plays in the background, and the MST flag hangs on the wall.
As relações de produção e de circulação burguesas, as relações burguesas de propriedade,
Basta mencionar as crises comerciais que, repetidas periodicamente e cada vez maiores, ameaçam a sociedade burguesa.
Nas crises irrompe uma epidemia social que, em épocas anteriores, seria considerada contrassenso.
Mind you, this is an official video initiative of MST itself. So, this woman, given a big spotlight by the Vatican in an official Vatican video where the participants are celebrated by Pope Francis, this same woman, just a few months earlier, read excerpts from the Communist Manifesto with her husband and young children. Most disturbingly, at around the 20-minute mark of the Vatican video, the Vatican shows people working at an MST building, and printed on the wall is a mural of Pope Francis wearing an MST t-shirt. The thing is, MST should never have been allowed to have been involved with anything at the Vatican. On May 5th of this year, MST published an article on its own website celebrating Karl Marx's 203rd birthday, saying, quote, "Today marks 203 years since the birth of the philosopher of the revolution, who left a legacy of ideas and writings about the communist revolution." The article provides 7 quotes attributed to Marx, providing MST's own thoughts on what the father of communism said. With regard to Marx's statement that, quote, "the people who subjugate another forge their own chains," MST said this, quote, "According to Marx, socialism governed by the working class would give rise to communism, a stateless society, without the existence of social and egalitarian classes. This is why it is important that the class struggle be egalitarian and that it does not stand out from any other people." In other words, their goal is the same as Marx's. They want a communist state. And regarding Marx's quote, "Revolutions are the locomotive of history," MST said this, "For Marx, human societies only progress through conflicts between the bourgeois class, which controls the means of production, and the proletariat, which supplies the labor force. In this author's view, the history of humanity is permeated by class struggle. This is why the revolution is so urgent and must be carried out by the working classes." The revolution? Listen, this isn't just a one-off for MST. We found hundreds of posts on MST's Facebook page pushing Karl Marx and communism. Like this one, celebrating Marx's birthday in 2019 and in 2016. On March 14th, 2018, MST celebrated the death of Karl Marx, the way Catholics celebrate the feast days of saints. On February 21st, MST said, quote, "Long live the Communist Manifesto," celebrating the 173rd anniversary of its publication. They said, quote, "We celebrate today the launch of the Communist Manifesto, the small pamphlet of no more than 30 pages that would enter into human history, the Communist Party Manifesto by Karl Marx and Friedrich Engels." In May of 2014, MST posted a picture of a statue of Karl Marx with a red MST hat placed on his head, saying, "May the ruling classes tremble at the communist revolution. The proletarians have nothing to lose but their chains. They have a world to gain. Proletarians of the whole world, unite." These aren't your garden variety, pot-smoking campus Marxists that you can expect to find spewing communist jargons at university protests. These are militant Marxists working toward and preparing for actual revolution in pursuit of Karl Marx's communist ideologies. And they were given a major platform on a Vatican-produced video. But they're not the only ones. Beginning at 18 minutes, the Vatican video gives a spotlight to Luca Casarini, the head of an organization called Mediterranea Saving Humans. Casarini is a longtime Marxist agitator who used to lead what was called the White Overalls movement. In May of 2001, Casarini read a declaration of war against the G8 summit in Genoa, saying, "From the outskirts of the empire, from the many worlds that resist and grow with the dream of a better existence for all, today we little rebel subjects formally declare war on you. It is a choice that you have provoked because we prefer peace. It is a decision that for us means challenging your arrogance and your strength, but we are obliged to do so." Casarini's Facebook page is littered with communist organizations such as Antifa of Monsalis, the Communist Party of Crispiano, the Communist Noci Refoundation. These communist groups, the Party of the Communist Refoundation of Sesto San Giovanni, Che Guevara Rome, the Young Communists of Naples, and on and on and on. And despite Casarini's long affiliation with the communist movement in Italy, not only was he featured in this Vatican video, but last April, Pope Francis sent him a handwritten note thanking him for his work with Mediterranea Saving Humans, giving his offer to help, saying, "Count on me." The letter says, "Luca, Dear brother, thank you very much for your letter which Michel brought me. Thank you for the human pity you have in the face of so many pains. Thank you for your testimony which does me so much good. I am close to you and your companions. Thanks for all that you do. I would like to tell you that I am always available to help out. Count on me. I wish you a holy Easter. I pray for you. Please do it for me. May the Lord bless you and Our Lady keep you. Fraternally, Francis. Another Marxist organization promoted in the Vatican video is StreetNet International. In June 2011, StreetNet International collaborated with the Confederation of Self-Employed Workers and the National Workers' Front in the creation of a manifesto for self-employed workers. Citing Karl Marx throughout, the manifesto actually calls for socialist revolution. On page 12 it says, "The proposal contained in this manifesto maintains the socialist tradition of the 20th century. Socialism today cannot limit itself to fighting exploitative labor relations, but rather must struggle against all types of inequality or discrimination, thus advancing not only toward a socialist economy, but a socialist society." A couple of pages later, it applauds the Soviet Revolution in Russia, saying this, "In the early 20th century, upon the triumph of the Russian Revolution, Lenin introduced to Marxism the theory of capitalist exploitation among countries, and with it, the idea of socialist revolution in countries considered not industrialized, but subordinate to world capital." And then, on page 21, the manifesto makes the case for armed revolution, saying, "There have been political revolutions in many third world countries undertaken by socialist organizations. This is not up for discussion. What is being proposed here is the possibility that political revolutions, takeover of government, the political military apparatus, and control of government management may eventually transit toward a social revolution, takeover of economic power, construction of an alternative system democratically controlled and planned by popular councils. Given the correlation of forces, it is necessary to advance in all directions at the same time, by means of discourse, by forging alliances, by combining the revolution from above with the revolution from below, and last but not least, by building said revolution from below." Given this disposition, it should come as no surprise that StreetNet partnered up with the South Africa Communist Party to launch the Ciscone Traders Alliance in 2008 and the World Class Cities for All campaign in 2009. The next organization profiled in the Vatican video is called Slum Dwellers International. In a 2015 article on strategies for fighting evictions, SDI turned to Karl Marx, saying, quote, "Karl Marx pretty much summed up the state of affairs more than 150 years ago when he declared that the poor are weak because they are not united, and they are not united because they are weak. And, as Marx pointed out, the real fruit of their battle lay not in the immediate result, but in their ever-expanding union." And one of the most prominent organizations profiled in the Vatican's video is Faith in Action and PICO. You may remember this organization from reports we produced last year proving that Faith in Action and PICO California were actively involved in pushing for the election of Joe Biden and other Democrats, while applauding violent protests and promoting abortion and transgenderism. Communism, and in particular the revolutionist and materialist ideologies of communism, are thoroughly condemned by the Catholic Church, and in 1949, Pope Pius XII published a decree that those Catholics who profess, and particularly those who defend and spread the materialist and anti-Christian doctrine of the communists, ipso facto as apostates from the Catholic faith, incur automatic excommunication reserved especially to the Holy See. The promotion of self-professed Marxists in a video produced and published by the Vatican is a gravely serious matter. But most disturbing of all are the words of Pope Francis himself in addressing these Marxist organizations. Here are a few excerpts from Pope Francis's speech to these communists. Pay particular attention to the militancy in his words. You are, as I said in the letter I sent you last year, a veritable invisible army. You're a fundamental part of that humanity that fights for life against a system of death. Know that you are called to participate in great processes of change. As I said to you in Bolivia, the future of humanity is in great measure in your own hands, through your ability to organize and carry out creative alternatives. I often hear, Father, we agree, but in real terms, what must we do? I do not have the answer, and so we must dream together and find it together. There are, however, some concrete measures that may allow for significant changes. These measures are present in your documents, in your speeches, and I have taken them very much into account. I have reflected on them and consulted specialists. For Pope Francis to say such things to avowed revolutionary communists, professed enemies of the Catholic Church and her faithful children, is shocking beyond words. But this is why Our Lady told us to pray the Rosary every day, asking us to make the 5 first Saturdays of reparation to her Immaculate Heart. We are living in dark times indeed, but Our Lady, the lighthouse for the Church, is holding the light. Let us turn to her now in this dreadful time. Immaculate Heart of Mary, pray for us.